Hey everyone, Chris Haddon with Hard Money Bankers. Today we are talking about using DISC personality profile for raising private capital. Very important thing. We figured it out relatively early on after some trial and error, of course, and getting better and better with our knowledge of DISC, which we're about to get into, and applying it effectively, because when it comes to raising capital, there are two main personality types to target and two to absolutely stay away from. So first things first, let's run through this in case you're not familiar. It's super useful in business, in life in general. Okay, so dominant personality type, the D. This is your type A businessman or woman. Oftentimes has had some success professionally. They'll typically have investable capital. They're good people to work with, and we'll get into exactly why. Usually intelligent people who are busy and have their own stuff going on. The next one is influencer. This is oftentimes your charismatic sort of salesperson, like your big talker, life of the party sort of person. They might not have a lot of substance to what they're saying, but they're very magnetic people. They're very fun people to be around. I personality types, the influencer. S. S stands for steadiness. S's hold the world together. These are your executive assistant, mother hen, people who really hold down the fort. S's are super important in life and also when it comes to this as well. And then C stands for conscientious. This is your analytical personality type. Oftentimes maybe an engineer or a CPA, college professor, people who are very, very, very into details and running formulas and spreadsheets and stuff like that. They're very into information overload is probably a good way to say it. Okay, so the people that you want to stay away from are the influencer and the conscientious types. Here's why. Influencer, when you go out there to start raising capital, looking for investors, starting to put your fund together, you're gonna come across influencers. They're out there in business, they know a lot of people, they go to a lot of events, they're good networkers and talkers and everything else, and oftentimes they can talk a big game that might not lead to any actual capital coming your way, right? Sometimes there's not a whole lot of substance, not always, but oftentimes there's not a whole lot of substance to the stuff that they're chit-chatting and networking and selling about. Either if it comes from them as the potential investor themselves. I've found that I personality types tend to be spenders and they don't usually have a lot of investable capital, or they're referring you to someone else that may or may not be there. It's worth looking into, especially at the beginning when you're taking whatever kind of leads you can. Just something to be very aware of. That an I personality type, they might talk your ear off, they might talk a big game, but there might not really be a whole lot there, so it could end up being a big time suck. So be aware of that. And then we have the C personality type, the conscientious, like I said, the super analytical people. So, all right, a couple things on these. Oftentimes they do have investable capital. They're conservative, they save their money, they're looking for a good rate of return, they are focused on business, but they can be very, very difficult from an investor relations standpoint because they're going to kill you with details, whether necessary or unnecessary details. Asking every little aspect about the borrower, the property, and granted, a lot of this stuff is important, and we do have a system for exactly how you present deals to investors, but there's a limit to it. The kinds of deals we do are pretty straightforward. They're pretty common sense. There's a number of boxes you need to check, but they aren't crazy analytical deals that require 4 or 5 hours to underwrite. They just don't. So if you find that a potential capital investor is doing that, they're likely a C personality type, and they're probably to be avoided because they're going to be very, very difficult to get their funds into your account. There's one story of early on in HMB's history where we were working with a college professor, local college professor who was interested in investing in loans. I don't remember exactly how he came our way, but we presented him with a very strong, straightforward bridge loan. I believe it was on a multi-unit apartment building, low LTV, maybe 40 LTV, something like that, no work needed, just straight bridge loan. And we presented all the material, walked through everything related to the collateral, everything related to the borrower. He was not able to make a decision, and then on probably the final call, maybe after we had met in person about it, talked about it on the phone, he said that he ran it by the lady who does his banking at the bank branch. and also ran it by his mother, and they both kind of poo-pooed the idea and said it didn't seem like a good idea and turned it down. And that basically soured him on this deal. And we said to him, like, frankly, if you can't do this deal, hard money lending in general just isn't for you, because this one is a no-brainer. It's a 40 LTV, didn't need any work. So there's going to be people like that. They can underwrite themselves out of even the best deal. Okay, now imagine that you do overcome all of these challenges with a C personality type, and you do successfully get their money into your deal. Well, congratulations, because your problem just got even worse. They're going to be all over you for updates when there isn't even any news. What's going on with the payment that's not due yet? What's going on with construction that's going just fine? Updates and questions and stuff all the time. C personality types, for all those reasons, are to be avoided. You might end up with some friends, or inadvertently get some C personality types into your fund, but you'll know exactly who they are. They will stand out as taking up 10 times more of your time than other personality types will when it comes to investor relations. All right, now let's switch gears and talk about the personality types that we're absolutely going to focus on. Let's talk about the D. D is a big one. Like I said, this is your type A businessman or woman. This is going to end up representing probably 60 or 70% of your entire fund. These people are usually successful. They make quick decisions. They're intuitive. They're intelligent. They will be able to look at a deal, ask a couple pointed questions, and make a decision. Mind you, they will underwrite the deal, and they will also underwrite you at the same time. You have to know your stuff. You have to be quick on your feet. You have to be able to answer the questions that they'll have that are savvy ones. They will ask you the right questions, absolutely. And they are testing you. They want to see that you are on their level, that you're qualified to do business with them, that you're qualified to handle some of their money, manage a business, everything else, and they're going to be underwriting you on the fly, right? So if you can, and you should be, totally prepared to answer their questions and do so confidently, and in all likelihood, the people who end up being hard money lenders often will have this personality type as well, so they work well with other Ds. And when you do that, you take care of it, the D is going to fund that deal, they're going to fund the next one, and then after they do a couple asking the right questions, they're going to have a lot of trust in you. And they're going to put this into the category of, all right, this is taken care of, this is an easy one. Then you can get their funds into new deals by text message. They don't need to be bothered with stuff. If they have a question, they'll ask. They'll look at what they need to look at. But all things considered, they're on to their next business deal, and your deal is funded, and you are rolling. So Ds are absolutely your number one target. So learn how to handle them and what to expect from them. And if you do, they're just fantastic people to work with and good connections to have. These are oftentimes very successful people. Okay, so that's D. The other one that you're going to focus on is S, the steadiness. Like I said, the executive assistant, super organized, maybe a little passive, hold down the fort type of people. These will represent maybe 20, 30, 40% of your fund. They'll often come your way maybe through referrals, family members, maybe some older family members that have investable capital but aren't super business savvy will fall into this category. Some friends and family who, in general, just like are fairly passive people, are not overly focused on business, and they need someone who they can trust. A lot of what is going on here is based on the relationship, and they're going to have a very high level of trust for you and your product and everything else, and your job is to absolutely take great care of them. It's a very, very important part of dealing with S's. They're going to trust you a lot. You can show them all the material they want and ask that they underwrite and approve it, and they won't really be interested in it. It's not the way they think. It's not what they focus on. They're more focused on the fact that you're looking out for them, right? So S's are absolutely a target when it comes to raising capital. Great people to work with. If you have a fund full of D's and S's, you're going to have a very smooth job in terms of investor relations, which it should be. You set up the right things so that they get statements when they're supposed to, they get paid when they're supposed to, they get whatever updates and news you decide when you're building out your investor relations game plan. You stick to that, everyone's going to be taken care of. And remember to avoid the influencer, who could be a big time suck and just waste some time and resources, and watch out for the analytical personality types too. They're not great for business. So DISC personality profile in general, very useful in life, in business in general, in sales, and super dialed in on the capital raising and investor relations game plan. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.